Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called They Do It on Fecking Purpose, written by SwiftHound. By Gob's name, Ken, I ought to put a proximity alert on you. Ken looked slowly towards the origin of the shrill shriek, eyes dead set forward until his head was perfectly aligned with Bull. Oh, what's up? Ken asked of a slowly climbing Bull. Ken is like a different person once you get him talking. He animates like a sleeping robot. That may sound endearing. It is not. It is creepy. If you saw him in the dark, which I have, you'd be of the same opinion. Oh, nothing. I can just never get over how quiet you humans are. Even on solid floors. I guess humans are just naturally light on their feet. Lies. Filthy lies. He weighs triple of Bull's weight. He should be stomping and shaking the whole floor while he walks. Did you get my mail on the way up? Ken's face lit up into a polite smile, all his teeth showing and eyes opening to their fullest. He twisted his left arm violently and at sharp angles, each movement before the next in a gruesome show of flexibility. He placed his hand in a small pouch he kept attached to his back and pulled out an envelope. Never once breaking eye contact with Bull, his arm journeyed back blindingly fast and stopped when it was perfectly extended. A small Cuban hand. Sure did, and I got you a little something while I was down there. He reached into his pants pocket and pulled out a bar of chocolate. He lobbed it at Bull, who caught it. Bull's eyes lit up. Ooh, I could kiss you, Ken. Ken gave a hearty laugh and sent a flying kiss to Bull before walking out, his face going blank. They all love Ken. They think he's just being normal, average, well-meaning, well-mannered, human. But I know he's not. I know it. I've seen it. I saw it once on my way home. I had to take a different route due to the hovercar engine becoming a ball of plasma on the main road last year. Some punks were racing them at night, and one too many overclocks later, the cooling system just couldn't handle it. The whole maglev system got fried, and they were replacing it now. I had to take a detour. And I saw Ken when I stopped. He was smiling, not like he usually does. It looked calmer. His lips were just barely curved upwards. His eyes were relaxed. I could almost hear his footsteps echoing in the quiet evening. Then he spotted me, and I thought I was going to meet my ancestors. He just smiled at me. Not his normal smile, no, just a small smile. And he kept walking like he had never seen me. I went home, and it clicked. I saw it all, the truth. He was doing it on fecking purpose, all of it. He was as normal as one can be, aside from the sick satisfaction he got from tormenting co-workers who were unaware of human norms. He has been acting the same while in the office. He never wavers in his act, not when others are around. Last month, me and him were by ourselves in the office by coincidence. At one point, he looked around with his dead eyes, spotted no one except me, and then smiled again. His face became alive, and it turned on some music from his workstation. Then he started dancing. His steps reverberated with a deep bass along the walls. He stretched and stood taller than I'd ever seen him before. He went to the coffee, and he had turned into a completely different person. No, species. He wasn't human, as the rest of us new humans were. No, this treacherous cretin was something different, something natural. He walked to my desk, sipped his coffee, and with the most sympathetic and calming voice told me, "No one will believe you." Then he sat down at his desk and continued humming and tapping to the music. Little does he know that I've been planning, making schemes of my own. I was consulted on possible new hires and saw a human amongst the possible hires. I knew that I would only have to have the other human to reveal the absurdity of Ken. Just one crack in the facade he'd been building would fall like a pile of dry sand. Oh, Ken has been lovely around our office. I believe the other human would be a great addition to our ranks, and I believe that it would be wonderful if Ken had another of his kind to converse with. My insides churned with an insidious lie that I spouted. I was not made for lying, but against Ken, I would go against my very nature.
He has been great indeed. Even Ken really took to a liking to having another human on board. Thanks for your input. And between you and me, everyone said the same of Ken, so no need to be embarrassed about it. Did Ken not see what other human would do to his efforts of terrorizing and traumatizing the office? Each and every day I watched the rest of my team getting harassed by Ken, and none of them even knew that was being done to them. But I knew this would all stop soon enough. Finally, I could have vindication for all the times I got scorned for speaking ill of Ken. Then, the blessed day arrived. I was shining like a star and so close to exploding into a supernova. That's how excited I was. But then, I felt a disturbance in the force. Out of the very corner of my eye, I saw Ken smirking at me. It felt cold. The lights dimmed and I could barely see. Some of the more easily frightened started making a ruckus. I could still see the lanky bipedal form stalking towards the middle of the group. It was slow and quietly hobbling towards the middle of the pack. Chills ran down my spine as I saw Ken holding a light switch in his hands, now that my eyes had adjusted to the darkness. He was grinning wildly again, but it was real this time. There was joy behind those calculating eyes. And then the lights turned back on, and then the screams started. And then I saw Samantha for the first time. Her face was as cold as stone, her eyes completely blanked as she slowly turned her head towards the nearest person. And then her face animated, and she started speaking with venomous glee. Ouch, my ears, what happened? Everyone just went dark and I tried to walk towards the noise, and is everyone all right?
And they were doing it on fucking purpose. End of story. Story number 2. Technically by Echoing Cascade. When the Silos found Earth, they did what they always did when faced with a technologically primitive planet. They sent troops to subjugate its inhabitants. They had done the same many times before, every time learning something new and adjusting their strategies. This time, however, the lesson they learned was fear. In the lush jungles when the trees whispered, in the frozen fields when the snow laughed, in the arid deserts when the sand prayed, and in the urban areas when all noise abruptly died out. They came to dread the sudden cessation of sound, for it would always be followed by the roar of guns. Any notion of occupying that planet was quickly abandoned. The resistance from the humans was bad enough, but the planet itself seemed to want them all dead. They pulled all of their troops and were on the verge of leaving when Admiral Radar decided to blast the planet from orbit in a fit of rage. 2 lone figures were standing by a street lamp, a female figure directly under the lamp, all but invisible in the glare of the light. The other, a male right next to her, yet the shadow so dark that he was nothing but a silhouette. The woman twirled under the light before speaking to the man sitting next to her.
They'll be annihilated, you know.
I have never stepped in when they were on the edge of destruction before. His response was tinged with sadness.
Before they face destruction at each other's hands, this time it's different.
Is it? She laughed, but it wasn't in a mocking tone.
They've always been your favorites.
You're the one who sees to every one of them. His answer was quick, too quick, but she knew it. She shook her head.
I'm only there at the beginning. You, on the other hand, you stay with them for the duration. A silent friend who knows them better than they'll ever know themselves.
He sighed deeply, all semblance of reticence evaporating. Oh, there are rules. If there was something I could do, I would. A loophole. Anything. The woman giggled, and between her hands a mirror made of water appeared. Inside, Admiral Radar could be seen talking to his aide, a drink in hand.
I hate these fucking planet. These shaved monkeys are bad enough, but everything out there seems tailor-made to end life. The weather, the geography, the flora, the fauna, microorganisms. I swear, it's a fracking death world.
The mirror froze, then shattered into snow.
Will that do?
Asked Life. That will do, answered Death. The Silo's fleet was engulfed in a shadow cast by no light, and every captain received the visit of a creature clad in dread and armored in finality. He only spoke once. Get off my lawn! The fleet left, never to return. Decades later, when humanity began to travel through the stars, they met many races, some friendly, others less so. But one thing they all had in common, they never visited Earth. When asked why, they would all answer the same thing. Earth is Death's world, and he does not approve of visitors. End of story. There is a new legend on the horizon. Blueberry Cat has taken the T6 Patreon spot. Thank you very much, and I'm sure that I speak for everyone when I say that. I would just like to thank our T5 members, Lord Azrakel, Ambrose Cattell, Quantum Wednesday, Drexoon WRE, Blueberry Cat, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Bushmaster 177, and Leslie 517. Thank you very much.